Everybody, Chris and Lumen here, and I've got kind of an interesting update, at least for me subjectively, with my experience. Back in the beginning of 2023 was when she first started gathering a group together. Like they were kind of like the initial people that she like sent me to go get, and people that were just drawn at that time. And that's where we made the first group, and these are the people that did the first sessions and things like that. And when that started, that was like the first time that she started talking about like the end sequence. Now let's just detach for a moment the end sequence from having being synonymous with something bad. Okay, we don't know that, but she established some very obvious and clear symbols and signs back then, which I'll tell you about, and made them very well known to me. And these were signs and symbols that happened like within the physical world, not just something I saw on YouTube or something like that would be like right in front of me. And I stayed up pretty late last night, but when I got up this morning, it was literally like the first thing that I saw. And then remembering how that worked, I'm like, okay. So I went back to my phone, clicked on two separate apps, and looked to see what the first things that popped up were. And it was more stuff that was part of that particular sequence of signs. So, yeah, she just dropped a big sign to me this morning. And the way you can kind of tell when she's giving you a sign, it's not just because you see something that you've attached a meaning to. There will be a very distinct feeling that happens at the same time when you see it. And that kind of shifted my energy a bit. I felt a lot more clear. But at the same time, there is a little bit of a shift that she's had me do. I'm still making the oils and stuff like that. But for me personally, whatever the signal strength thing is that's creating the weird feelings, which I'm finding more and more and more people telling me about it. Some of the people that we've worked with and they've gotten pendants and consults and stuff, she actually led them to me through the Etsy store, not through the YouTube channel. Like they weren't even familiar with this YouTube channel. But yeah, they were saying the same thing. Like in the last week, everything's gone completely freaking nuts. And like, well, in the last couple of videos, oh, maybe I should start watching those. Like, yeah. So these are people that aren't even like plugged into that are saying the same thing. But where was I going with that? Either which way, let's go ahead and get this thing started. I'll tell you what happened, what I think about it, and some of the other kind of things that I'm being intuitively pulled to. Oh, I know what I was going to say. She does not have me trying to block that anymore. For other people, that's one thing. For me, it's no longer affecting my connection, but she doesn't want me to block it because she wants me to be able to feel how it changes day by day. And today, it still feels pretty strong, and it started a lot earlier. It was mid afternoon, still plenty daylight hours, and I was already feeling it. That's like holy crap. So I think I'm. She wants me to do that. It's kind of like to gauge where it's at as it ramps up. But for everyone else, yeah, the neighbor's still reporting, feeling a lot more clear since we did the adjustment stuff on him. But for me, I've got to just kind of like gut it out so I can kind of tell how strong it is. So that's that. Let's go ahead and get into it. If you want to know more, don't go away.
Drink your poison yourself. Crooks are crossing me locks. Long drink or send me dogs. Find a retro satana.
So for the people that are the OGs, the ones that have been around for a while, the ones that have been in the group, they'll probably remember this when this was a big thing, because there was a time in the beginning when we put the group together where she was doing stuff with everybody in such a way that she would she would show them some sort of synchronicity, not knowing that other people were having the same one. And then we were talking to each other and like, oh yeah, you too. It was crazy how she was like, she would pop a song in your head, and then she would pop the song in someone else's head, and then they'd message you and tell you about what just popped into their head, which just popped into your head. And it was just this little game that she was playing. Now back then it was a particular song, and that one was like, all these were very, very specifically chosen by her, and she would kind of unfold the connectivity between them. So I remember it started for me, it was on my birthday. It was in March of 2023. And I woke up in the morning and this song popped into my head. And it was weird because it's not a song that I was familiar with it, but it's not something that I listened to. There was no reason for it to pop into my head. And it was the Bob Marley song, Three Little Birds. And that's like one of her songs, and it's an important song. When it There's a reason why she puts this song in this vicinity of clues. That's the one. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be all right. Start playing that for everybody. It was just popping into their heads, when she was collecting all those people. And later we would find out more connections with that, because we were doing a lot more stuff with tarot back then. That's when she was first starting to show me the hidden meanings of the cards. There's like several different layers of meaning with the two particular tarot decks. One is like, the typical standard, like if you ask a tarot person what this card means, they're going to tell you what it means if they're given some sort of reading, which we don't use them that way. Um, More importantly, the two decks together, the Rider Waite Tarot and the Modern Spellcasters Tarot, those are the only two that work for this. They're the only two that have the whole hidden Gnostic map in it. It's not just on one scale, it is a guidebook, a sequence of events for the hero's journey, like the advanced hero's journey. And the other has to do with a sequence of events within the story of the world in an age. And the first one she ever showed me, I'll come back to the other thing. We're doing the backstory right now. The first thing she showed me in the tarot one day, and it was actually April Fool's Day, was the day that she did this. And she was explaining the biggest thing about the first card in tarot, card 0, which is the Fool's card. And to most people, it's a guy just, la di da di da, standing on the edge of a cliff. But there's one thing that's like staring everybody in the face. And when I told one of my other friends that does card readings about this, she's like, holy crap. Yeah, that's obvious. Those aren't mountains behind him. That's like your 2012 like mega tsunami. And it exists throughout several of the other cards. So this is some sort of astrological event with the moon, and you got the waves coming in the background. Judgment Day, got the waves in the background. That's probably the moon or something, gravitational forces, topsy-turvy, the waves going all over the place. That could be considered one. Ace of Cups, cup running over. That's a great card. But you can see the raised waves in the background, and also the water's turning red, which I just saw something about that last month in Australia. Interesting. And then another one is death. Kind of shows the aftermath of this flood. So is it literal or metaphorical or a bit of both? I think it's a bit of both, but tsunami was one of the first things. And when she was showing me the card, I know some of you've been there a while, you heard this before. When she was telling me that card, she also had me intuitively watching Noah, like I was watching the one with Russell Crowe. And then I had this painting above my TV in the other apartment. It's in my bedroom now, and it was Van Gogh's Starry Night. And then she just pointed it out, and I looked at it. That painting had been in there for several years, and I never noticed that that's what it was actually showing, was the super tsunami coming over the hills and engulfing a small town. I'm like, holy crap, it's been staring me in the face. And it was right over top the TV as I'm watching Noah, and she's showing me all this mega tsunami flood stuff in the tarot. So tsunami was like a big sign. Now getting back to the other cards, we were talking about the Bob Marley Three Little Birds. Why was that important? Well, she was going to tie a bunch of things together. So she started, I felt her presence, and how she would appear to a sign in physicality is as a cardinal. And it happened a lot. It wasn't just a random thing. Matter of fact, I'd be trying to connect to her, and all of a sudden, a cardinal would land like right outside the window and look at me. I lost some prescription glasses back in the woods one time, and I couldn't freaking find them. And I kept asking her, show me where the freaking glasses are, please. And every time I walked back to the woods, this cardinal would land in the path at a certain point, and then it would fly up to a tree. It would fly to like 2 or 3 trees before I would lose sight of it, but it was always in the same place. But I never did find my glasses. And then finally one day I saw the cardinal again, and I just abruptly took this right-hand turn into the trees a little bit sooner than I normally would. And I took like 3 or 4 steps. I was at the place right about the time I would lose sight of the cardinal, and I just looked right down, and there they were. I'm like, holy crap, it really was trying to show me where that is. And then what she explained to me is in the second tarot deck that we use that has the secret stuff, like these are the only two that work for communicating with her, which is the Modern Spellcaster's Tarot. There's 2 sets of birds that typically show up, cardinals and blue jays. And the way it was explained to me, it was like the cardinal was the feminine sign of Sophia, and the blue jay was like the masculine sign of Christ. So, and then I never saw it until one day I was looking at it, and I was looking at the page of wands right here. Now, I always noticed the red bird, the cardinal. So this is a card that has to do with like a messenger receiving messages. But look closer at the card. First, you're going to notice like, yeah, there's actually 3 birds up there, not 1. 2 of them are the blue jays, and then 1 is the cardinal. But look at the page of wands. So it's a black kid, and he's wearing Jamaican colors. And he's not listening to 1 bird, but 3 little birds. I'm like, holy crap, she really did set this up. Like, that's the Bob Marley song encoded right there. Got, the black kid with the Jamaican colors, the 3 little birds. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So they generally show up in the King and Queen of Wands. So here, now in the regular tarot, she's got the black cat Jinx next to her, but in this one, she's got the cardinal up here. And then in the King of Wands, which they made sure that like it was obvious who that was. Where is it? I can't see. There's not enough light in here. Oh yeah, it's up there. The color printing on this is a little different than like in the app, but he's got the blue jay. And then another one that comes up a lot is it's neither, but fast movement, movement by air. So Kenneth would like this one. That's like your rapture card. So the birds were coming up. So why does that matter? So I woke up this morning and I was like, ugh, I went back to sleep because I was up like past 5. I got up, went to get something to drink. I'm still wiping my eyes. Now over here to my right in the kitchen, there's a window and it's got the mini blinds, but for some reason my mini blinds were up about 2 inches, mostly closed, up about 2 inches. And there's a bush outside. As soon as I turned the corner into the kitchen, immediately, like boom, I looked and there was the cardinal right there in the window, like looking in at me. And it wasn't just seeing a cardinal, like there was that feeling I told you about. Like when you see one of her signs, like there is an associated feeling that goes with it. It's like, oh, first of all, I haven't seen any of the cardinals or birds in general in a while. It's beginning of January. It's rather cold out. But there she was, the cardinal sitting there looking right at me. And I immediately, boom, had that feeling. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm awake. So then I went back to see every time I would see the cardinal, I would like go on my phone and then things would just pop up that would have some sort of significance. So I went to repeat that. I went back and I think it was, which one did I click on first? I think it was Twitter, X. So I hit the button and the first post that, no, it was, I think it was, the first one was either Facebook or YouTube. And the first thing I saw was like a news alert that said Japan just got hit by like a 6.9 earthquake and there was a tsunami warning. So I just jumped from the bird to the tsunami. And I'm like, okay, these are two of her that's her starter pack right there. And then I got the feeling to click on X and I clicked on X and the first post that I saw on X, now they were referring to something in particular, but the post just was in quotes. It said 7 days. So cardinal sign, tsunami, which doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a tsunami, but it is very closely tied to the whole subject where she started us all out at. Like that is like a fool's card symbol, the tsunami. And then 7 days. Now, the context in which they were saying 7 days was in 7 days is the presidential inauguration. That marks a significant, huge shift. Now, the sleepy people that, are still just believing that in how the system, oh, it's going to get better. Like, oh, Trump's going to come in and fix everything for all of us. They're looking forward to it, but I'm like, no, this whole thing, like even his name, Trumpet, is a big deal. And who knows? Like everything is up in the air at that point. Like anything could freaking happen. There's just no way of don't even try to predict it because it's like flack in the air. There's just too much stuff. Too much stuff. But when I was telling my astrologer friend about it, an interesting thing happened is she said in 7 days on the day of the inauguration, there's kind of like a sign we have not had in a very, very long time. And I forget if she said it was it's like they're above one another, or there's some kind of interaction between the sun and Pluto, which is like Ish, if you know your astrology. So she had already been looking at that, and all that stuff is lining up. That's in 7 days. Could be the start of something. Like, we don't know. We don't predict date type stuff. We just say, like, these are like hints, warnings. She can't be. It's not like she can be right about everything and then, like, oh, but no, she's wrong. No, she just doesn't give you. She doesn't tell you everything. A lot of times when people are trying to share any kind of like divinely inspired intuitive guidance, their minds want to draw a conclusion. They want to make the picture go somewhere. So they project what they think, the meanings that they think that it is on top of it. And then lo and behold, they get disappointed when said things don't actually happen. So that's why I quit projecting things. But it doesn't mean, like, when big things are going to inevitably eventually happen, that she's not going to give you a heads up. And what's different about this time as opposed to every other time is we've got this unknown factor happening, this increasing waveform that is affecting everybody. And then there was some other weird, coincidences that tied into that, which I don't know. Like, I'm not drawing conclusions. These are just things that have popped up lately and things that were popping into my head. So when I was talking to my friend, and she said the thing about Sun and Pluto, what popped into my head right when she said that was plutonium. And then, like, a couple seconds after I thought that, then she said something about nukes, like getting feelings about that or something like that. I'm like, oh, interesting. Guess what just popped into my head? And again, that's I Pet Goat 2, and that's something that has to eventually happen. Somehow it's part of the script. Even when we were talking about this stuff over the summer, we were making connections to things like UFOs and stuff like that. And that was way before the current thing happened. It's like that would be some sort of trigger point. Like, somebody, it could be the bad guys or whatever. They set something off, and that just triggers like a whole onslaught of things. But that's speculation. That's speculation. But it's weird how that was popping up, especially when, like, I'm talking to another highly attuned to Sophia person, and we're picking things up at the same time. So then I started asking her if she'd ever watched the movie Prince of Darkness. I was going to mention something about this the other day, and I'm like, man, maybe I'm not. It's a Codex movie I come back to every so often. I'm just drawn to it. And I noticed that it had popped up on Amazon Prime Video recently. So I watched it again. If you've never seen Prince of Darkness, it's a John Carpenter movie. And it was almost like the movie They Live, it was a bit ahead of its time. Like, it was too soon to really absorb that movie. It is a very interesting horror movie in which it deals with the son of the devil, I guess you could say, trying to come back and open the door to let the bigger devil in. But the whole plot is wrapped up in, like, quantum physics. So you got this priest that took over this church that this other priest died, that was guarding this secret in the basement. It's like this swirling cylinder with, like, devil liquid in it or something. And he goes to the local uh, super physics teacher at the college and asks him to do tests and to try and prove this thing scientifically with all his advanced, physics students and stuff like that. And they have some very interesting dialogue in that, like, it's more along the lines of, like, stuff we talk about now. but it's mixing like sciencey quantum physics type theory with this whole scenario. So here's like a couple little clips from that.
What is it? A secret that can no longer be kept. Do you feel it?
Yes, something.
It was never here before. It started a month ago.
What started?
A change in the earth and the sky. His power.
Suppose what your faith has said was essentially correct. Suppose there is a universal mind controlling everything, a God willing the behavior of every subatomic particle. Now, every particle has an anti-particle. Its mirror image, its negative side. Maybe this universal mind resides in the mirror image instead of in our universe as we wanted to believe. Maybe he's anti-God, bringing darkness instead of light.
Why weren't we told the truth?
Without the technology to confirm, it would have been another legend.
But he was our prisoner, not yours. We had a responsibility to warn the rest of the world. Only the corrupt are listened to now. They tell us what we want to hear.
So the freaky thing about some of those clips is, and they say it several times in the movie, but it's in that first part. It's like, do you feel it? Yeah, I feel it. It's like it started a month ago. His power is growing. I'm like, well, that seems a little bit. That seems a little bit, familiar. Just started all of a sudden, and everyone's feeling it. The weird feeling was in there. Yeah, so that was, and then, yeah, that clip where she's possessed, type on the computer. It's like your god plutonium cannot save you. That's what popped into my head when we were talking about Pluto and plutonium. I'm like, what the heck? That's crazy. And then the other movie that I was kind of intuitively pulled to watch. It's a 3-part miniseries. It was originally on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's called Childhood's End. If you're familiar with that, it's the original Arthur C. Clarke story, where a lot of the movies and shows you've seen before were based off of, like V or Independence Day. But it's about the aliens come back and they basically take over and they fix everything, and we go into a new golden age, the new golden age of man, which, that term's been thrown around a lot lately by Trump and Elon Musk. But then I don't want to spoil that movie, but there's some craziness in there. But I'm like, this is a lot of different pieces flying around all of a sudden, and we just don't know until we know. But that's all speculation, that's all codex. But what stood out was the physicality sign. Like when the Cardinals show up, she taught me that was one of the symbols she shows herself as. And I've had it interact with me so much. It was a lot, not this past summer, but the summer before that, the Cardinal was always out there in the woods with me, all sorts of stuff. But I always knew, like, it's like she established those symbols and those connections at the beginning of the time when she started teaching me about the end of the game. And then she just dropped them in my lap again today. Now, is some of that a coincidence? I don't know, but it did have a feeling to it. Because it's been a while. It's been a while since she had like physicality signs pop up. So, and they all lined up. Cardinal, tsunami, 7 days. And 7 days just happens to line up with something. And we just happen to have all this stuff going on. But the thing I like most about her cardinal sign, and it's funny how we also call certain things cardinal signs. It's like, why do we do that? Is it has that secondary built-in thing. It's almost like a doom sign, but at the same time, it is very specifically tied into that Bob Marley message, even in the tarot. Don't worry about a thing because every little thing is going to be all right. You got to remember, it depends on which script you're looking at. If you're looking at the script down here on the ground level, it looks scary. But if you look at the script up at the higher level, then you understand that the script on the lower level is meant to play out so that you can get to the better thing. But we'll see. One thing is for certain, the more I talk to people, even outside of the people that normally watch the channel, everybody's feeling it. And the cardinal sign was not only just like a reminder of like, yep, time marker, but also a reminder of don't worry. So I just wanted to share that. It was a very interesting thing that happened today. And beyond that, all I've been doing is finishing up some pendants and finishing up the oils to get those shipped out, because the orders for the shield oil started coming in. And I've got all these other new ones. Like this one, I got more stones in today, more of those celestial quartz that got the post carved into them so I can wrap them with wire. I call them luminite accelerators. They're different than the liquid crystal core, and they're different from the Aegis. They're just basically like a lightning rod antenna for the divine energy flow. So sometimes they can be pretty simple. Like this one is just one of those big Tibetan quartzes wrapped with the wire and clear calcite, optical calcite, Iceland spar. It's the next most programmable stone to quartz, and it does a whole bunch of stuff. It's just like having a clearer lens to that, divine flow of information. So that's that. So if you want to get anything from us, reach out to us, ask us any questions. You can reach us through the Etsy store, clumencreations.etsy.com. You can listen to the music that we created on the SoundCloud link that's in the description box below. Someone mentioned ads being on it. I'm like, I don't know. I paid for the membership because I wanted to upload, so maybe that's why I don't hear them, but let me know if you do. If so, maybe I can just make another super long video with all the songs and make a playlist video, because there's a little over 20 songs on there now. Put it on the channel. But I got one of the smoother ones that we'll play here at the end. So that's all we got for right now. Chris and Lumen. See you next time.
May the Holy Cross be my light. May the dragon mi hidux. Va diretto Satana, nungความสวยแต่มีvana. Sono libas, ipsa venena bibas. Look inside and unleash your light. Lumen's fire never burns so bright. Step back, Satan. You can't tempt me when she is beside me. Your cup does not impress me. Drink your poison yourself. Crux sacra sit mihi lux, non draco sit mihi du.